Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gallifrey Major, and today we're playing and reviewing the Tier 6 Premium Destroyer, the Cossack. Available in the store for 12,500 and in her opening week, available as part of a bundle for 22,500. Now this is a Tier 6 and 7 game of domination on the Atlantic. Looking at the other team, two Japanese destroyers, so sneaky, Z-23, 6-inch guns. York, very good sonar. Snop, Bismarck, Jean Bart, Vanguard, just lots of battleships. And then just remember that the York will have a sonar range of 5.4 kilometers. I think the Bismarck's may as well. So we spawned on the right, pushing over to the right flank towards Charlie. So fingers crossed those Japs are elsewhere. And the Germans, because the Z-23 will have a sonar range of 4.4 kilometers. So things to bear in mind. Now the Cossack, so she's in at Tier 6, so if you like to play British, oh, okay, we're going to get busy here, then you're probably going to be comparing her to the Jervis mostly, as like an alternative, which is reasonable really. Now the survivability of the Cossack is slightly above average, but she's not the highest. If people go for health builds, then you can probably expect the Germans and the Russians to be able to out health build you. The Russians only just, and then the Germans quite significantly. So that's usually a card that they have up their sleeve, and especially when the mass has less gun capacity than you, but then she's got the health to hang around with, and then also the Minsk has quite good guns as well. She's pretty much on par with you DPM wise. So yeah, talking about guns, we have the same guns as the Jervis. So we have 3 turrets of dual mounts of 4.7-inch guns, and that means you basically got the same DPM as the Jervis, which is pretty average. I wonder what's that smoke screen, because we haven't had anything to give it away yet, which is a shame. But I know they haven't got a cruiser this side, which is quite nice. Could push it, let's see. If you're ready, Mike, I'll push it with you, because that Bismarck's now self-isolated, so on goes the sonar. Yeah, so your range is, like, as per the Jervis, because you've got the same guns as the Jervis, your range is competitive, your gun quantity is competitive, you have quite average caliber guns. The strange one is, oh, okay, I know whatever's in that smoke is weak now. The strange one is with this, is that you have this one random secondary turret on the back. Now, that just gives you that little bit of extra DPM, but it just can't be relied upon, strangely. What I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly pop a smoke, and then aim for the superstructure of the Vanguard. There we go. Yeah, so you have that random secondary gun. Now that secondary gun has a range of 4.7 kilometers, and basically it's a single dual mount of a 4-inch gun. It's really strange to have that, especially on like a destroyer, which you wouldn't really associate having secondaries with. Now, torpedoes, you have actually the same torpedoes as the Lightning, which is definitely quite interesting. So it's slightly better than the Jervis. Trying to get a fire. Well, they reloaded, so I'm going to go for this. I'm going to cross his T, which I should be able to do. Might just chuck the engine boost on. Yeah, that's alright, you fluffed that. Right, now we can get rid of you. There we go. Ooh, he turned into that quite nicely. However, just got to watch myself against the Bismarck, because the Bismarck is using her sonar there. And then what I do, I might as well use my damaged con, and just want to try and stay away from that Bismarck and let her sonar run out. Okay, so while we're doing that, cowering behind a cliff, might see if we can shoot a plane down, because that's it. When that secondary gun actually helps with the AA, yeah, because it is a dual-purpose gun, which is quite nice. So anyway, we were talking about the torpedoes, aren't we? So the torpedoes, So they're better than the Jervis. They are the same. It's the same launcher as the Lightning. So you have 1x4 mounts. Now it has a. Oh, it's not trying to get fluky over there, so I ain't having that. There we go. So the range is actually really quite good. So it's 10 km range, and that's pretty much on par with the Japanese. Japanese can do a little bit better than you at this tier. Then damage is quite good. It's pretty average, but it's like compared to the Jervis, it's definitely better, which is quite nice. Then yeah, so you've only got 1x4 mounts, and then you can fire them all, or you can fire them one by one. Maneuverability, you have the same, pretty much the same as the Jervis, which is the slowest at the tier. Now you have a slightly larger turning circle and a slightly slower rudder, but it's not drastically different in comparison to the Jervis. Concealment wise, your concealment's actually very, very good. Compared to the tech trees, you have a good opportunity to almost do like some concealment builds, and you'll probably be quite good at it. Let's see if I can do this. So there you go, there's that 1x1 launch that you can do with the British, which is quite nice. So a nice little British trait you got there. Now, consumable wise, or your magic bag of tricks, you get 2 smokes, 2 engine boosts, and 2 sonar. So your smoke screens are slightly different to the normal British smoke screens. Very similar to the Japanese. 20-second duration, how long it takes to load a smoke screen. 88-second dispersion is how long it's going to last for, and then a 237-second reload. So that's quite nice. Oh no, what have you done? Oh wow. That game ended a little bit quicker than I thought it would. Engine boost, so you got ×2 of those. Now they increase your engine speed by 8% for 120 seconds, have a 178-second reload, so it means you can get her up to about 38.9 knots. However, you can also, if you put a booster flag on, you can get it almost up to 40 knots, which is quite nice. Oh, it came top of the team. Amusing. Wasn't really expecting that. That was quite a simple game. Normally when I try and do these live, it all goes to pot. What I'll do, I might as well show you in the harbour as and when it comes up, and then we can talk about the sonar. Now the sonar has 180-second duration, detects torpedoes at 2.7 kilometers range and ships at 3.2 kilometers range. Now the 3.2 kilometer range, that's slightly different to the other British, which have a 3.5 kilometer range. So that's your only downside. Your sonar is definitely more defensive than the because it's shorter range. You can't be as offensive as you would normally compared to the Jervis. Now, as you can see, she comes with a premium camo. This is pretty much like what it does is exactly the same as a Type 4, but it just looks quite nice and pretty, and it's personal. Basically, it's particular to the ship. Mods wise, down in the description I should say, but as always I'll just list off. I've gone for aiming systems because I think the it's basically you're going for the torpedo buff really there. Propulsion mods, I always prefer to go for propulsion mods on the British just because they can have quite good acceleration and it does help to take advantage of that. Now I think the Cossack does feel a little bit slower of her acceleration, but not by much, so I still think it's worthwhile taking. And then if you're going for a concealment build like I have, you've already got the Type 4 camo basically to at ease to use, so I've gone for concealment mods just because that extra minus 10%, that's what makes you quite stealthy for the tier. Now you might get out stealth by a couple of the specialist Japanese premiums, but apart from them you should be doing alright. That means you can kind of pick and choose your engagements. Now she does come with a, oh look at that gold, that's very nice. On the bottom right they've actually got a name there. Now the bundle that is available at the moment, it comes with some commander crates, some Type 4 camos, comes with a flag, but I don't really think it's worth it, but that's a personal decision. You can go make your own decision, but I think for 12,500 she's quite nice. I did play her quite a lot in ranked. I played the Jervis and the Cossack quite a bit in ranked to see how they both compared, which is a nice way to do it because ranked can turn quite into a knife fight if you play the British, well if you play a destroyer I should say. And I think the Jervis has always felt a little bit lackluster for me at the tier, and so having the Jervis, having the Cossack now, I definitely feel like I now got a tier 6 destroyer I can go play. Now I'm a bit fussy when it comes to picking ships that I want to play. I usually just select the British flag and pick a ship from there. So, but it gives, now I've got like a British destroyer that I quite like at tier 6, because the rest of them I like. The Jervis has always felt like a bit lackluster at that tier. Now, as you may have seen in that game, I've got 3 of everything. Basically, the Jervis, the Cossack does come with a lovely bag of tricks, with the smoke, engine boost and sonar, but I feel it's not enough, like having 2 of each. And so I had to give some real consideration to what commander I wanted to go for, and I decided I might as well just go for Jellicoe, Mr. Universal, just because I can get that fully packed. So his base trait's pretty much useless, but go for that torpedo speed, go for that concealment mod, go for that torpedo reload, because you've only got the 1 launcher. It's nice to see him come back. The last ability, you can go for smoke in the water. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You could go for reach out, but I find with the Cossack, her guns at range, they can like kind of have like a high arc if you're firing at range and be a bit drifty. So usually shooting at range, you're not going to be doing much unless you're shooting battleships. You can make a case for the steer clear. You can improve that rudder shift a bit more, make her more like a Jervis rudder-wise. I don't think it's a bad decision there. And then at the end, I've gone for that fully packed just because I want that extra bag of tricks, really. I want that extra smoke, that extra sonar, the extra engine boost, and you can use them all in the game. Now, if you really want to buffer concealment, I'd highly recommend taking Bay. That just means that you're getting really sneaky. I mean, you're going to be pretty much like my Cossack build's on par with my stealth German build for the mass, which is nice. And then because I can out DPM them, we're bumping into at the same time if they've gone for that. And then obviously your bigger Jervis, so you do come with more hit points, but I always like to have more hit points in a destroyer, so that's why I've gone for Sims. Well, I think that wraps up everything on the Cossack. But as always, the mods and the command builder will be down in the description if you want to reference them another time. Now, if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I'm the Gallifrey Major, and back to the port.